And welcome to the Cloud Architecture Summit breakout sessions. This is the session for Software AG, and let me welcome back Paul Fisher, iPaaS Product Manager at Software AG. Paul, welcome back.
Hey, Vance. Thanks so much for having me.
Hey, it's our pleasure. Our pleasure. Paul drives the scope of design for delivering strategic value from Software AG's cloud integration platform. He also educates customers on the tools and techniques to help their transition to the cloud, and both of those are going to be on great display today, as Paul's session is iPaaS for the Citizen Integrator. You know, with the explosion of SaaS, APIs, and endpoints for apps and data integration tasks are everywhere. So the question is, how can technology help reduce the team's integration backlog and even cut the time it takes and even get these integrations up and running? Enter the Citizen Integrator. The term has received a lot of attention the last couple of years. Some wonder if it's even possible or if the tools exist. Others are beginning to get a sense that it can really offer some great efficiencies for the enterprise. Today, Paul is going to show us how Software AG has designed its iPaaS with a fine-tuned focus on user experience and how it can deliver primary functions for both business and IT. We're going to take a look at the webmethods.io iPaaS and what differentiates it from some other, perhaps failed attempts at delivering services and interface for the Citizen Integrator. And that'll include, by the way, a great demo to see it in action. Just a quick reminder before I turn it to Paul, you can get a copy of his slides. Just download them by clicking that big red button under the view screen. You'll also see in that same region, we've got a host of white papers, other great downloads. They're also available for you without any extra registration. You did that to join us today. And to connect with Paul, which we love to have an interactive where we can, just type in the submit a question area. So with that, Paul, let me turn to you and tell us about iPaaS for Citizen Integrators.
All right, Vance. Thanks so much for that. So as you know, in a software development and information technology sort of age, there's incredible diversity across our IT landscape. As professionals, it can take a lifetime of understanding the different technical trade-offs when analyzing the differences between maybe different runtimes, different databases, different streaming technology. This is a culture where architectural decisions about a system design can have really large ramifications across a company's ability to adapt to changes and build new business processes with speed. So with an IT landscape that complex, who really is a citizen integrator? Are there any out there? What kind of skill sets do they bring? And when you look across the integration landscape, there are three sort of traditional personas that are interested in integration. On the far left-hand side is really your integration specialists or your architects. These are people who are designing and building really complex order-to-cash scenarios or hire-to-retire workflows that span a wide enterprise projects. They have a comprehensive toolkit underneath all of these workflows like CI/CD, container management. They're focused on quality of service and a lot of governance to watch the pace of changes in their IT environment. So they're incredibly focused. In the middle, we have ad hoc integrators. These are traditional developers who come with a nice development background. They use tools that are fit for purpose for the specific business objective that they're looking to achieve. And maybe they're building things like experience APIs. And then on the far right-hand side, we have this citizen integrator, and maybe we don't run into them mostly during our day-to-day, but this citizen integrator might not have a really big developer background. They're looking for tools around quick gratification. They want to go into a tool set that has very minimal sort of training, that they just kind of get it. For them, it's all about maybe team or personal-based productivity, and they're working towards some goal. Maybe they're prepping some data for some initial analytics or doing a simple automation task. So we know in an IT organization that there's really increasing pressure to match the utility and the agility of business demands. And there's a lot of roadblocks in the way with this, particularly around large integration backlogs. When we talk to our customers, we find out that a lot of times they're integrating multiple companies, and a lot of their focus goes into these integration projects, and the business really tends to slow down. We're finding that expertise, particularly around integration, is incredibly costly, and even some of the platforms are really quite expensive to the organization. With all these disparate systems and different data in different places, like data warehouses, CRM, these has created a large silo of data that can have really complex requirements around connectivity. So you have data just living in all these different systems. And then finally, because of these challenges, it's really hard for IT organizations to deliver new experiences to their customers. It really tends to slow things down. So with that, integration can't afford to be slowed down anymore. Your business needs a lot of agility to move faster. So I think now's really the time to unlock your citizen integrator persona. And I feel like a lot of architects spend a lot of time developing these really great landscapes, and they might look at the citizen integrator as a role who can't really bring value or doesn't have the same technical acumen as you would as sort of an architect. And the fact that these less technical citizen integrators are not so savvy in this respect, really their core competency stands out in the way that they live and breathe your business challenges. So really now's the time to unlock this persona and sort of bring them along in your integration journey. And in a lot of ways, this is why we built WebMethods IO integration, which is our Node.js-based iPaaS. This is an iPaaS optimized for citizen integrators. We have over 300 connectors out of the box, which makes it really easy to quickly adapt to a SaaS application. We have a workflow UI, which I'll take you through today, which is very simple and easy to use for an integration developer. We have some nice screens around flexible mapping and a lot of the out-of-the-box services so that a citizen integrator can walk into any integration challenge and really be confident that they have a set of tools that they can use to build that challenge. And then finally, it's incredibly easy to onboard with very little training. So as you're starting to think about iPaaS and your sort of journey to the cloud, we're finding that a lot of our customers start at really the bottom of this maturity curve. Maybe there's no centralized iPaaS sort of strategies specifically for the citizen integrator. We see a tendency to do everything themselves, and that really creates a large sort of backlog. So our challenge here is to really move up the maturity curve and spend that time as sort of an architect or integration developer to see how iPaaS can fit in your existing architecture. Come to us with a lot of the challenges around availability, scalability, security. Challenge our iPaaS, our managed service around these specific goals and really tee up your organization to start a pilot. That's kind of next on this maturity curve. Pilot how this iPaaS can start to unlock data across your organization using citizen integrators who live and breathe by these processes. Get them in the tool, get them thinking about how to take Marketo leads and sync that with Salesforce data, or take a basic form and add that to sort of Marketo. Pilot this program and see how the value that it can drive a specific organization. And then finally, you can really start to launch and bring a lot of your data and integrations to cross-organizational teams. Whether you're support, sales, or marketing, you can leverage our iPaaS to take that data to really a new level. We're doing this a lot today with customers like Siemens and MindSphere. We've had a really great partnership here with MindSphere. They offer a platform for IoT device connectivity and analytics. And they've partnered with Software AG, particularly our iPaaS, as an add-on to their MindSphere application. And this really unlocks IoT sensor data to be used in other types of analysis and to power dashboards or new API-like experiences for mobile or the web. And in today's demo, I'm actually going to show you a IoT use case. So with that said, if you invest in iPaaS and you invest in this citizen integrator persona and you bring them along in the integration journey that your company is going on, what are the expected sort of uplifts that you can expect to receive from our iPaaS? We see our customers cover all of these or specific ones. For example, under product adoption, this ability to increase adoption for specific customer segments to make your products more sticky. We have a customer here called Cisco, and they use our iPaaS to power an application store to make Cisco's Teams product more attractive to customers, and they stay in the application for longer. Now in Cisco Teams, you can request for a Dropbox file to be pulled right into your Teams experience. And that's all powered by our iPaaS. And this means that a customer doesn't have to leave your application to go fetch a file or to go perform some action in, say, Marketo. They can stay all in one sort of user experience. We see a lot of customers using our iPaaS to take product usage data and the way people are interacting with your trials and pumping that information into the support organization to start to decrease a lot of the tickets that are coming into a support organization. If you can deliver really timely product experiences or FAQ articles at the right time, you can start to reduce the number of support inquiries that you're receiving as an organization. So these are just some of the looks at what you can expect to receive by investing in iPaaS. Now I'd like to kind of move over to a demo. I'd like to take you through a specific scenario. So imagine you're running a fleet of IoT devices. Maybe these devices come in the form of windmills. So imagine a specific windmill which has a temperature sensor on it. And as this temperature increases, we want to take that IoT data and sync it with other SaaS applications, do something with it, or power a new business process. So I'd like to next kind of take you into the application itself and show you how I can kind of extend this workflow really simply using our nice UIs. And I hope to show that any Citizen integrator can come into this application and be really productive with the data that you get sort of set up. So the first screen I come to is our project screen. And projects are a great way of organizing all of your workflows by a specific initiative in your business unit. So here I have a particular project, and if I drill into the project, I have a list of all of my workflows by initiative. So here are my out-of-the-box workflows, and today I'm going to show you this IoT device escalation. So I have a basic workflow configured, and I like to extend it from here. What this workflow does is on the left-hand side, it listens to our Keymelocity application for real-time sensor data information. So in this case, this windmill is maybe spinning out of control. This temperature sensor goes up and will kick off this workflow. From here, the request comes into a standard switch block where we look at the severity of the IoT device alarm, and if this alarm has a critical alert, we'll go ahead and create a ticket in Freshdesk. If this alarm has a major alert, we'll send a message via SMS to my team, and for everything else, let's just send a default email notification. Now let's go ahead and run this workflow before extending it. On the right-hand side here, I have my Postman application, which allows me to send an event to my Keymelocity alarm. Here I have Keymelocity pulled up, and I'm going to send this request. You'll see in the request here we have a temperature alarm as well as the name of the alarm, the severity of the alarm, and timestamp for this particular alarm. So let's just trigger this out-of-the-box workflow to start. I'll go ahead and hit send. And in real time, this event gets picked up by this workflow. You can see here that it's traced through my specific flow. And this gives me as an integration developer real-time feedback on how this particular workflow has executed in my development environment. And you'll see it's created a case. If I open up this tool panel at the bottom, we have a debugger. And this debugger allows me to step through every step of my workflow and see exactly how this particular workflow has run. So if there's any errors that I get, or I'd like to see the input and output for that specific step, I can use this debugger to find out, to make sure that I've configured this workflow appropriately. Now on the right-hand side is my toolkit of all the connectors that we have out of the box. Like I said, we have 300 connectors here. So maybe I'd like to extend this workflow and send a message to my Slack channel. So first I'll pull up Slack, I'll drop it onto the panel. You'll see here we do some wiring for you out of the box, and I'll go ahead and link it to my termination block here. And we'll remove this section. So now I have Slack. So for a Citizen integrator, this is really easy to get started with. I can double click on the application itself, and I drop down here into a selection of different actions. So from my Slack connector, I'll go ahead and post a message to my Slack channel. and I'll authorize it with my production account. I'll hit next. And where we're brought here too is our really simplified UI for mapping. On the left-hand side is all of the incoming data for all the steps prior to this particular action. And on the right-hand side is really the action itself. So to get started here, I have two required fields. One is the channel name. So in this drop-down, I'll open up the channel name. And what's really nice is we provide a lookup service. So we'll actually go into your implementation of Slack and pull out specific fields for that implementation. And this really reduces the error rate and burdens for a Citizen Integrator kind of typing in things manually. When you can select from a drop-down, it's much easier. So here I have my device IoT escalations channel, and I'd like to send a text message once this ticket has been created. So maybe I say something like, we have a new ticket in Freshdesk for this IoT escalation. Please see ticket. And what's really great about this mapping functionality is I can go back here, and from the ticket that was created itself, maybe I drop in the ID of the ticket. The ticket was created on, and here I can grab the creation date. Please service this request because the alarm was of severity, and I can easily grab the severity of the particular alarm under my Cumulosity alarm. In the message, there is a severity field. Now I can single click this or drag it on. If I single click it, it'll take the position of my cursor. So with a couple easy steps, I've been able to configure this specific action. I'll hit next. And at every step of the way, I can test this specific action to make sure that I've set my mappings correctly, that it connects okay. In this sense, I'll go ahead and hit done. Okay, I've saved that particular workflow. And maybe after I post a message to my Slack channel, I might want to notify my team or myself via email. We have a number of tools for that as well. So under notifications, we have this ability to send an email. So I'll click and drag this onto the palette and finish my wiring here. Now, when I double click this and configure my email, I can send an email, and the required fields are my address, as well as a subject line, a new critical ticket. Please see the corresponding ticket. And I can drop in my ticket ID as well. Okay, I'll go ahead and hit next and done. After that, I'll hit save, and that should complete my workflow. So now let's go back to my Postman, and let's go ahead and emulate an IoT device alarm. I'll go ahead and hit send. And in real time, this workflow has run, incorporating my new steps. You'll see here in the Slack, I have this area for the new message which was posted. I've received an email for this specific request, and it just really works. Okay, so let's dive deeper a little bit here. So what happens if the Citizen Integrator can only get so far? We have a lot of the connectivity options on the right-hand side out of the box, but there may be some scenarios where you need to go a little bit farther for your specific implementation. We have some tools there to support. On the right-hand side is our idea of custom actions. Here, if you can build JavaScript, you can get this in the right format that we're sort of expecting here with both an input and an output, as well as a specific function, and we'll compile this code and run it for you on your behalf. And what's really great about this custom connector is we can then drag it and drop it onto the palette, which is available for any other Citizen Integrator to then sort of leverage. So there are areas here that we can kind of dive deeper to ensure that you're equipping your Citizen Integrator with all the tools necessary for them to build these workflows. So in addition to this kind of Node.js application that you can drop onto the palette, in the mapping step itself, if I hit next, and under the transformation tab, you can add a new transformation during your mapping step. We have a lot of transformation services out of the box if you need to manipulate arrays, if you need to manipulate dates or doing any kind of math function, parsing JSON objects. Over here under custom, we have Node.js, and here again, we use JavaScript to build a custom transformation service. Maybe you're manipulating a string in a certain way. So this is really great for more of a citizen integrator to kind of dive here and provide the right tools for your developers. So let me go ahead and cancel that. Outside of the workflow, we have a number of services to help make sure that your workflows are operating successfully. And so if I bounce back here out of the workflow, we have a whole monitoring suite, which looks at the activity of this particular tenant. We track the number of successful workflow executions as well as the number of failed workflow executions, and we plot that over time. So in the event that you might have an outage or you see some performance concerns, you can come to our monitoring tab to help support you for any RCA type activities. We keep an audit trail of all of the interactions for your users in our particular iPaaS, as well as the individual activity logs for each of the workflow executions and the steps that those workflows had gone through or processed. And finally, to really bootstrap your citizen integrators, we have a list of recipes. Recipes are pre-built integration projects that are out of the box. And really this gets you 80% of the way there for the most common integration scenarios, whether you're integrating Marketo with Salesforce. These recipes are a great way to sort of get started. You import them into your folders and you supply credentials to the specific accounts. And after you import this particular recipe, it's available for you on our canvas or orchestration layer to then enhance. So with that, I'd like to move back over to the presentation. So that was a little overview of our Web Methods IO demo and how it can start to improve your Citizen Integrator experience. So don't take my word for it. Software AG is a leader in our iPaaS technology, which expands both API and B2B use cases. I've shown you today a simple IoT use case and how we help these citizen integrator persona, but we're consistently ranked really highly as a leader in our Forrester Waves as well as Gartner. So you can really move to us with a lot of confidence in ensuring that we cover your enterprise-based scenarios. For next step, if you're really interested in learning more about Web Methods IO and our ecosystem, I want to encourage you to try our 30-day trial. If you go to webmethods.io, you can get your hands on our iPaaS and really see how quickly it is that you can build these integration projects. We're here definitely to support you in any specific implementation questions, or if you have any concerns, we can help point you to a lot of our documentation as well. So feel free to reach out to me if you have any specific questions. I really appreciate you for coming out to the session today and hope to talk to you soon then. So that completes the presentation here. Back to you, Vance, for any questions.
Fantastic, Paul. Really great session, a really great demo to show how much thought Software AG has put into the idea of making integration in an iPaaS much more engaging with the non-technical folks and yet still have that seamless transition to the more traditional technical integrator. Great session.
Yeah, thanks for that, Vance. Really appreciate it.
No, our pleasure, our pleasure. You know, Paul, as you might expect, we got a couple of questions here, a couple of themes, some at the high level and others at the truly implementation level. So let's start off with kind of a big picture question. And you really talked about this idea of extending workflow. And I think the way you phrase it is a really unique way of making it easy for IT to begin thinking about how the citizen integrator can really leverage the skills they've already got, whether it's through BPM or process apps or workflow. I wonder if you could share a couple other examples of really good get-started tasks where IT can begin to encourage the citizen integrator to take up the slack without intimidating them too much.
Yeah, there's a lot of really interesting scenarios. For a citizen integrator, it's all about sort of ease of use, maybe some simple automation tasks. Really, our feature of these recipes are a great way to kind of get you jump started in these really typical integration scenarios. So you might have situations where you're keeping a lot of inventory or maybe a list of tickets or some type of data in a spreadsheet. It might be hosted in the cloud, or you might have the spreadsheet yourself. You could really take that data and start to do a lot more with it. Using our workflows, you could take any kind of spreadsheet data and move it into any destination application, whether it's Marketo or some homegrown system. So that'll help to kind of bridge this gap really quickly between processes that you've done really manual in the past to moving it into more automatic, and that's really just going to free up your team. So we use this paradigm of recipes to really push that forward a lot faster.
Oh, fantastic. Here's another question on the architecture side as it happens. Does the Software AG iPaaS support hybrid portfolios?
Yeah, so under the hood, we use Integration Server as our on-premises agent for connecting to anything on your network. So this could be a database, this could be an ERP system. And so you can get to leverage our existing on-premises ecosystem and tool set to connect to those devices. And via this agent, we're pushing this application up to our managed cloud. And so for Citizen Integrators who are all about cloud-first based tooling, you just need a browser to get started. In that canvas that I showed earlier, on the right-hand side under connectivity, you'll have a nice application there for your on-premises data. And that means your Citizen Integrator can grab that application, drop it onto the pallet, and start to orchestrate the movement of data between SaaS applications and on-premises. And we do this via our out-of-the-box hybrid link, which is really easy for IT administrators to configure and get up and running.
Oh, fantastic, fantastic. You had a great view, Paul, in your demo between the no-code or the code-light approach for the Citizen Integrator that he gets to use recipes or do drag and drop, and then toggle into the more hands-on deep dive where coding might be necessary. So the question here is, how does Software AG's iPaaS encourage or facilitate the Citizen Integrator to work with either IT or even the full Integration Competency Center?
Yeah, I think you brought up the key point there too, is facilitate. I think integration developers play a really key role in facilitating the next generation of integration projects by Citizen Integrators. So in a lot of ways, we see integration developers tee up the Citizen Integrator by providing access to accounts, ensuring connectivity is there. In that way, the Citizen Integrator can just drop right into our canvas and be really productive from day one. They have access and they can use our service orchestration to start moving data between applications that are specific to your team and other SaaS applications that maybe they're more interested in. So it's really a symbiotic relationship between the two. If you're working with APIs, we have the opportunity of importing a Swagger document, which will create these integration assets sort of for you in this kind of implementation first scenario, which gets people started. So if you take a more API centric route to integration, we have you supported there.
Paul, some folks have remarked on the sheer number of assets that you've got preloaded in the iPaaS. Here's one. I love that Software AG has more than 300 connectors, but my question is, how would a non-technical user figure out which ones to use?
Yeah, it really depends on the business objectives that they're trying to achieve. We have a lot of the out-of-the-box connectors to the most popular SaaS applications. Many times they have accounts to these applications already, so they have a general sense of both the source and the destination applications that they would like to sort of work with. And you can just kind of come in and quickly browse a list of our connectors. In our documentation site as well, it shows you our complete coverage as well as the roadmap of connectors that we're sort of building next. So I think that Citizen Integrators can really be confident walking into sort of any scenario that we have an out-of-the-box connector that's really going to fit their needs. And in the demo, I also showed how to build sort of custom connectors via the web UI. We also provide a on-premises development environment for building these connectors too, if you need to take them sort of to the next level. So in the event that a Citizen Integrator just doesn't find a connector that they need, I think this is a great collaboration point with IT to make sure that we bring a connector there that's going to be really impactful for their specific use case. So.
That's really important, Paul. We've talked a lot about the design time. Just a question here about the runtime. You showed us the monitoring environment for just a few minutes. The question here says, how does Software AG ensure high availability of our integrations?
We can definitely walk you through the architecture if you're interested in checking it out. Under the hood, we run a Node.js runtime. And this runtime acts as a worker to execute all of our workflows. So as a SaaS application, all of our requests come in from tenants into our queuing layer, where these workers kind of pick up the jobs and execute it on your behalf. And it's really impressive the scale at which we can run these executions. So if you'd like to take a deeper dive, we can walk you through there. We can take you through our cloud services agreement if you're interested in signing up, which has a lot more information around service availability so that you walk away with a lot of confidence that in a managed cloud environment, we have your operational requirements locked down.
Fantastic. You mentioned there was a trial. Reprise for us again how folks could go about getting it and what the first step to actually activating a sandbox or a trial would be.
Yeah, it's really straightforward to get started. You'll head to webmethods.io and you just have a simple form to sort of sign up. On this webmethods.io, we have a lot of information around documentation to make sure that you're most successful in getting into the application. The trial is 30 days, and if you need a little bit more time, just kind of send me a note. I'm happy to extend that trial for you. But right away, you can be really productive in using some of our out-of-the-box recipes or creating a workflow from scratch, just like I did today. So just with a quick sign up, you're ready to get going.
Excellent, excellent. Paul Fisher, iPaaS Product Manager at Software AG, thanks very much for a great session, a really wonderful walkthrough demo for both the Citizen Integrator as well as the more traditional, high-skilled enterprise integration team, and especially for taking so many questions. You really put the whole set of technology into context and might even have left some hope for folks that still want to implement a Citizen Integrator strategy. A really great session.
Yeah, thanks for that, Vance. Really appreciate the time being here.
No, it was totally our pleasure. And just a quick reminder, you could download a copy of Paul's slides. That big red button will get you those right away. Just pop it and it's yours. Also, you'll see some other great resources, many of which Paul mentioned during his slides in his demo. Those are available also for you right now, including that free trial. And let me just quickly remind you that there's so much going on in cloud integration and Citizen Integrator in particular at Web Methods and Software AG. We couldn't fit everything here, so here's a slide that'll take you directly to the Software AG website for some more resources. Download Paul's slides, and these links will be live. Thanks again, everyone.